Well, hey guys, everybody's talking about a respiratory virus that's going around in our society now, and you're probably interested in what can you do right now to optimize your health and make sure that you do not have a bad outcome or even get the infection to begin with. And so there are some things that you can absolutely do to help improve your health. So number one is really prioritizing good sleep. Sleep, when you sleep, okay, and you prepare your body for good sleep, you really help reset your immune system and you activate melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, right? Melatonin's incredibly powerful for your immune system and for help regulating the balance in your immunity so you don't end up getting an infection, or if you do that, you're asymptomatic, which is the key. You know, if you are asymptomatic, in my opinion, even though you may have, I guess, quote unquote, gotten the infection, you know, from a classical standpoint, we don't think about that as an infection, right? Like if you're not carrying symptoms and experiencing symptoms, we never used to look at that with the flu, for example, right? Or the cold. Nobody would say they had a cold if they didn't have, if their nose wasn't dripping, if they didn't have to blow their nose left and right, have, a fever or whatever it is, right? All these different symptoms. You wouldn't just walk around and say, yeah, I had the cold last week and I felt great, right? You never would say that. So in my opinion, unless you're symptomatic, you really we can't actually say you had enough of a viral load, right, to get infected and actually, have a bad outcome. So with that said, first thing we talked about was sleep. Number two is get your blood sugar and your insulin sensitivity under control. The best things for that are a low-carb, anti-inflammatory nutrition plan, really prioritizing real foods, healthy fats, healthy proteins, keeping processed foods out of your diet. You gotta do your best. Keep processed foods out of your diet. Stop drinking soda. Stop drinking any beverages that have a bunch of sugar in them. That's like one of the worst things you could possibly do for your health. Stop eating fast food, processed food. We got to get rid of that stuff. Eat real foods, whole foods, and really prioritize healthy fats, healthy proteins, and then do intermittent fasting. So if you were doing fasting, for example, eating your meals in like an 8-hour window from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., for example, and hydrating your body well outside of that, that is going to significantly reduce your insulin levels, keep your blood sugar more stable, and allow your immune system to function the way that it's supposed to. So we want to do that. We want to keep your insulin levels under check. So intermittent fasting, super key, anti-inflammatory diet. We want to optimize our vitamin D levels. Big study, meta-analysis that looked at a number of different studies, really all the studies that were done on vitamin D and COVID-19. And what they found, I did say it, and what they found was that, this was again a meta-analysis. So they took all these studies, right? They got rid of the ones that just didn't have, the strength or the research criteria to be a really well done study. So they came up with 14 really well conducted studies, took those, and then synthesized the results. And what they found is that people who are vitamin D deficient had an 80% greater likelihood of having a bad COVID outcome, right? Or ending up hospitalized or with significant symptoms. And so 80% chance, really significant. It's probably the best thing, that we have evidence on here is getting your vitamin D levels under control. Now, the reason why insulin resistance is so important is because we also know that over 90% of the people being hospitalized for this viral infection are people that have metabolic syndrome, meaning that they have excess body fat. They're overweight, they're obese, they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, they have metabolic syndrome. So, this is really affecting these individuals. We've got to get our insulin levels under control. That's super important. You'll even see research, or you'll see, the media every time, somebody that's young and thin ends up in the hospital, they'll say, well, look at this person, they're young and thin. But if you we're not actually testing their insulin levels. You could be young and thin and have insulin resistance. I see it all the time. I see it on a lot of different individuals when we're looking at labs. My team does as well. So there's so many people out there that are dealing with insulin resistance. It's a really, really big factor. And so again, just because you're not overweight doesn't necessarily mean you don't have that. So intermittent fasting, eating a whole food, real food diet, super critical. Exercise, okay, so important to get moving, get sun exposure. We talked about vitamin D deficiency, getting good sun exposure, 20, 30, 40 minutes every day, right? Obviously you don't want to burn, but you want to get as much good quality sun exposure as you can. And if you're not able to do that, let's say you work indoors, you're just not able to get out, or it's, weather has been bad, take a vitamin D supplement. So you can take, I always recommend somewhere around 1,000 international units per 25 pounds of body weight. 1,000 international units per 25 pounds of body weight to maintain optimal levels. Now, if you're very deficient, you want 2,000 international units per 25 pounds of body weight to really get your levels up. So that's what you're looking at there. Now, I always get the question, do you want to take vitamin D3 with vitamin K2? Well, for your immune system, it's not as important, right? You can just take vitamin D3 if it's about an immune benefit. However, vitamin K2 is extremely important for calcium metabolism. Why is that important? Vitamin K2 works with vitamin D3 to help scavenge calcium out of the bloodstream and put it into the bones where it belongs. So if you want to prevent osteoporosis, if you want to prevent against calcifications in your blood vessels, right? Then absolutely taking vitamin D3 with K2 is it's the best approach for that. So it's important for that. Also, things like vitamin A and magnesium can be important for helping the expression of the vitamin D, helping vitamin D actually work the way it's supposed to. So, in nature, you have foods, for example, like grass-fed butter, pasture-raised eggs, that are very rich in fat-soluble vitamin A and also vitamin D, right? So they'll have vitamin D, not enough to really drive your levels way up, but enough vitamin A in there to really provide sufficient levels of vitamin A. So you should be eating foods like that: grass-fed butter, pasture-raised eggs, green leafy vegetables. If you have a sensitivity or an allergy to, let's say, butter or to eggs, which are some of the best sources, you can also do liver, right? Doing organ meats. Organ meats are really rich in vitamin A. So you can actually get like a 50-50 grass-fed burger with, 50% liver and 50% ground beef, and you don't even taste it, right? You don't even taste that kind of gaminess that's in the liver. You can also get, different supplements that have beef liver, grass-fed beef liver in there as well. So if you don't want to eat it, you could just take the supplement as well. But those are, really the best ways to get that. When we look at like plant sources of vitamin A, they're not as good. So green leafy vegetables, carrots, sweet potatoes, I'm a fan of those foods. Those are healthy foods, and they're healthy for a number of reasons, but I wouldn't say that they are, great sources of vitamin A, because they're higher in beta carotene, but not the actual fat soluble form of vitamin A, the retinol that really makes the biggest impact. So that's what we're looking for, and that's why we want those animal-based foods for that. So really optimizing those, getting your magnesium levels straight, super important. So we talked about that, sun exposure, regular exercise, and then, last but not least, really keeping your stress under control. We've got a media that's throwing a lot of fear at us, and, lots of stuff that's going on in our society and our world. And so you need to really take time to do what you can to decompress, reduce stress. For me, I really like to focus in on gratitude, scripture, praying. I think those things are incredible for helping keep stress under control, reminding ourselves of who we are, right, and who God made us to be. And so I think keeping your stress under control, really being active in your spiritual life, super important for preventing or reducing your risk of having some sort of respiratory infection. If you do those things, it's going to really give you the best chance. So good news is that if you are overweight, if you have metabolic syndrome, this is not that hard a thing to reverse. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time, but if you start doing intermittent fasting, okay, if you start doing, like, for example, one meal a day, I've had people that were 100 pounds overweight, and they started doing one meal a day, or they did like a 3 or 5 day water or juice or bone broth fast to really jumpstart their fat burning. And these people saw incredible results. And, many functional health practitioners have seen people with diabetes, blood pressure issues, things like that, literally be able to reverse those conditions in a matter of, days, if not weeks. And so it is possible. Now, for some cases, especially when there's a strong autoimmune component, it can take a lot longer, right? It can take sometimes months. But these are conditions that we can get under control if we start taking the proper action. And so you can start with diet, lifestyle, really optimizing your sleep, keeping your stress down, doing the things I talked about today. And if you just aren't seeing the results, definitely reach out, get some blood work done, work with a functional health practitioner, because we can help you optimize your life, optimize your health, reduce your risk of getting some sort of respiratory infection, ending up in the hospital, and on top of that, reduce your risk of all the other comorbidities, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, diabetes, right? All these types of things. We can help reduce your risk by really getting to the root cause, addressing those issues, and allowing your body to heal the way it was designed. So take that, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do now. Hit the bell button so that way you get notified whenever I put up a new video. Thanks so much, and go ahead and share this video with somebody you know and that you care about. If you have questions or comments, please leave them. My team and I will be happy to go through that when we get a chance and do everything we can to support you guys. Be blessed, everybody.